There we go. That's got sitting on another envelope, so I apologize if you didn't hear that. But I'm going to call this joint special meeting of the City Council and the Planning and Zoning Commission to order at 6:34 p.m. It's January the 11th, 2020. First, I want to welcome everybody back to City Hall. This is our first public or in-person meeting in the public, so we welcome each one of you back. I also want to say Happy New Year as we've turned the corner from 2020, and let's leave 2020 in the dust and let's move forward in 2021. And hopefully, as we say this in a year, it'll be a much better year than we had in 2020. I know we're each dealing with the issues of the day differently, but as you can see, we've made lots of changes to City Hall. So by way of a few housekeeping items, I'd like to bring up, it's obviously noticeable in the meeting that we're both online as well as in person. So these first public hearings that we've got with our Planning and Zoning Commission, they are online, all watching in and logging in from online, as well as we have a couple of council members that are online as well. And then the vast majority of our staff is online as well. We do have some of our executive staff members here, but most of our staff are logging in remotely. So bear with us, give us a little grace as we walk through this first public meeting in person. Not everything's going to be perfect when you're dealing with IT and all of those kind of things. Things can go wrong, and if they can, they probably will. So bear with us as we get through this. In the next several meetings, we'll get it down and get better as the meetings move forward. By way of COVID and some other stuff, and in our regular meeting, we're actually going to be adopting formal protocols. Most everybody has gone through some of the protocols on their way in to City Hall tonight. But with that, we ask you, if you're seated there, you can take your mask off if you feel comfortable. But if you get up and about and you're moving around the chamber, if you're going back to the podium, you go out to grab a drink of water or something like that, please put it on as you're moving around the council chambers. We do have, and if somebody is just doesn't want to comply with that tonight, I mean, we do have the ability to remove someone from the room, and I just don't want to put us or me or anybody in this council in the predicament of having to remove somebody because of the protocols. So we're trying to open City Hall back up and get it back open to the public and get businesses as normal, whatever that means today, as we can. So bear with us as we even work through some of the COVID protocol as we move forward. So with that, we have opened our meeting, and I'm going to we do have a roll call of each of our council members. Each of our council members are present, whether they're in person or online. So I'll certify a quorum there. Madam Chair of our Planning and Zoning, would you do your roll call and certification?
Hi, Mayor Cole. Thank you. I certify a quorum for Planning and Zoning. We're all here. Thank you.
All right. So with that, we'll move to item number 4, introduction of agenda and format of our hearing. Let's see. Doesn't one of our staff members normally do that?
Yes, Martin Griggs, I believe, is online. No, walk through that, Mayor.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Cole. Josh, do you mind if I take over sharing?
Sure. Give me just one. There you go.
All right. Thank you, sir.
This is why we asked you to bear with us as we work through this.
Thank you. So for tonight's joint special meetings, we'll have a call to order for each item. That will be followed by a staff report. Then the applicant has an opportunity to present. After that, we'll have comments from the public in either support or opposition to the projects. Then we will go into council, commission, and staff discussion. After that discussion is had, the City Council will go into a separate meeting to take a vote on the resolution. That will either be to approve as requested, approve with conditions, deny, or to table the item to a future meeting date. On tonight's agenda, we have 3 items. The first is for an assisted living facility on Cedar Street. The second is for a cigar, tobacco, or e-cigarette shop on Broadway. And the third is for a liquor package store also on Broadway. Mayor Cole, I'll hand it back to you.
All right, thank you, Martin. We'll move on to joint special meeting number 1. Councilmember Carbone, would you read the heading there?
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. A request by Theresa G. Moore, applicant on behalf of Cynthia Bodine, owner, for the approval of a conditional use permit for assisted living use within the neighborhood service district to accommodate an assisted living facility with a maximum of 16 beds on approximately 0.4 acres, generally located at 2315 and 2317 Cedar Street.
All right, thank you. So we have the item on the table. We'll move towards item A, application information and case summary, and move to the staff report. Back to you, I believe, Martin.
Mohammed from our planning staff will be presenting this report.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council and the Planning and Zoning Commission. Good evening. I'm Mohammed Birima, Senior Planner with the Community Development Services. Again, this is a request for approval of a conditional use permit for assisted living use within the Neighborhood Service District to accommodate proposed assisted living facility on approximately 0.4135 acres of land. The applicant proposes to develop a 16-bed assisted living facility on the vacant site located at the northwest corner of Macao Road and Cherry Street. The Unified Development Code defines assisted living as a congregate residence facility for 4 or more elderly persons over the age of 55, regardless of legal relationship, who need limited assistance with daily living activities. A limited number of support services such as meals, laundry, housekeeping, transportation, social and recreational activities, hairdressing, etc., may be provided with the assisted living facility. Units may be attached or detached, single or double occupancy, and may include limited or full kitchen facilities. Full-time medical or nursing care is not typically provided with the facility, but may be privately arranged by individual residents or on a part-time or temporary basis. So after that definition, assisted living use requires approval of a conditional use permit to locate within the neighborhood service district. The purpose of the CUP or the conditional use permit is to allow uses that may be suitable in certain locations within a zoning district, or when additional standards or conditions can be imposed to ensure compatibility with adjoining uses. The staff has received phone calls and written comments from the residents of the area with overwhelming opposition to the request. I want to mention a few of them that by name that have called me: Margaret Fassy of 2212 Cedar Street and Sandra Ball of 2209 Cedar Street. There are obviously, you can see there are a lot of phone calls. Some of them submitted written comments and were passed to the council and the Planning and Zoning Commission ahead of this meeting. Next slide, Martin. So this is a zoning map, shows the subject property currently zoned neighborhood service district, which is intended to permit a limited area of service establishment and retail stores for the benefit of adjacent nearby residential development. The subject site is currently undeveloped, and it's adjoined by uses and zoning districts as follows: with a neighborhood service zoning on the north side, and with a general business on the south side, and Old Town Site residential or from the east side and by single family residential number 2 from the west side. And all of the surrounding uses are single family residences with the exception of the south side, which is a self-service car wash. The property was zoned general business prior to 1986, according to archive zoning map, which is on the next slide. This is from 1986. And you can see on the blow up there that that area is zone neighborhood service. So that's as far as we can, we have archived. However, it appears that zoning have actually existed even prior to that, prior to 1986. If you go to the next slide, this is the subdivision plat that was created back in 1963. And these 2 lots are deeded as for commercial uses from that original plat. Next slide, please. This is the future land use plan of the city, and the 2 subject properties are designated as medium density residential. Next slide. This is the proposed site plan for the assisted living use. You can see a development of about 4,000 square feet with the brown color, surrounded by landscaping from 3 sides, parking, about 8 parking spaces located on the west side of the facility. Want to mention that the proposed site plan generally meets the requirements of the code, with the exception of the required 6-foot wide landscape buffer along Cedar Street. So what is provided there is about 3 foot. So that doesn't meet the code. Next slide, Martin. This is a location map that shows generally based on the Google search location of similar assisted living uses in the area. There are about one that is there's one within about half a mile, and this is first of all the largest circle that you see. That's the 2 mile radius, and we have about 3 assisted living uses within that circle. One just about a half a mile from that. Next slide. It provides some photos of the site. The one on the left side you see, that is looking directly north across Cherry Street, looking at the site, looking directly to the north. The second photo is taken across Makawa and looking northwest towards the subject property. Next slide. This is the conformity metrics, and the proposed use is consistent with the future land use plan, the thoroughfare plan, as well as availability of utilities. Next slide. This is a approval criteria for conditional use permits from the UDC, and as you can see, staff is evaluation. This proposed use is consistent with 5 of those 7 criteria, with the exception of criteria number 5 and 7. 5 incorporates roadway adjustment traffic control devices to control traffic flow or divert traffic. Number 7, and that relates to meeting the zoning district. And as I mentioned, one of the requirements of the UDC was not met, and that's regarding the landscape strip along Cedar Street. Next slide, Martin. So this is staff recommendation. Staff recommends approval. With regard to the proposed site plan, staff is not recommending that site plan to be attached to the proposed resolution. And the landscape strip can be addressed in a few ways. One of them would be a variance, or they can go back to the drawing board and come up with a plan that would meet all the UDC requirements. With that, I will conclude my staff report, and I will hand it back to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mohammed. I'm not sure, is the applicant online for an applicant presentation or present in the chamber?
The applicant is, I think he's represented by Mr. Craig, and I think he's on the list, on the attendee list.
Craig Garcia, is that what you said?
That is correct. Craig Garcia is representing Mr. Moore, Mr. Jules Moore.
He's on the line, and
Okay.
I can unmute him if need be.
Okay. Yeah, please do, because the next up is the applicant's presentation, and I'm not sure if the applicant is wishing to speak and give a presentation or not, but please unmute them so we can have them.
Craig, you are unmuted.
Hear me?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Barima, Mr. Griggs, council members and commissioners. What we're proposing here, we believe is going to be a nice addition to that neighborhood, where we intend to incorporate some of the design features of that neighborhood into our residential assisted living facility. It's basically gonna look like a larger house than the adjacent properties to that, as its own commercial, even though it's a commercial business. We'll have the maximum beds we'll have would be 16. We'd have a staff of 3 to 4. Deliveries would just be food deliveries once or twice a week, and then of course the dumpster removal as well. We will plan on revising our site plan to get that 6 foot wide, so we shouldn't need a variance on that. And we've already started that process. And again, we want to benefit the neighborhood here. This could be zoned commercial. It could be a lot of different types of businesses. I think a business that occupies this, that resembles a residence, is more in line with what I hope the neighbors are doing or wanting.
Does that conclude the applicant's presentation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So
Thank
we'll go
you.
ahead and move on, and I know it's persons wishing to speak for or against the proposed request, and I know we had several people sign up to speak to this particular issue. So Mayor Pro Tem Little will call out the names. Some people will be present. Some people are going to be online. If you're present, please, again, wear your mask, and you can go to the back podium to address, make your comments. If you're online, I think Josh and the staff will unmute you at that point. So, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. We'll go ahead and let those that are present speak first. Is anyone here to speak on behalf of the assisted living facility on Cedar Street? Please raise your hand. Okay, we'll start with the lady in back. What is your name? Okay.
Just in favor or against, not necessarily on behalf, but on the issue. Sorry.
Okay. Go to the podium, state your name and address, and you can begin speaking.
Lived in the same house for 42 years. 21 of those years, I have suffered flooding like constantly. Every time it rains, my heart is right here in my throat. We have an assistant living there on Cedar and Cherry. It's going to mean more flooding. It's going to mean lots more traffic. It's going to mean the employees coming to work, the families coming to visit the 16 sick people. With all due respect, I would like for the City Council to deny this request. I bought this home thinking that I would be living in a residential section, not in a commercial section ever.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay. Sir, would you like to speak? State your name and address when you get to the podium, and you can begin speaking.
My name is John Shaw. I live at 2310 Cedar Street. I've lived at this residence for 50 years. I think you need to know that this neighborhood First of all, it's been here for 55 years. These two lots have been here like this, empty, for 55 years. It's a very serene and quiet neighborhood. We have lots of children that have lived on it. And as I went up and down the street the other day passing out these leaflets, I found out that old residents have left and new residents, young residents, have come in with their children. And I asked them why they came in. They came in because of the quietness of this neighborhood, because of limited traffic, and so the kids can play outside. And if you drive down there sometimes around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll see the kids playing ball or riding their bikes. It's a very residential, quiet neighborhood. So on the history of this, really, we had a civic association for about 20 years in this neighborhood. And there was we had asked the owners of this property if we can make it into a park. And they said, no, we couldn't because of the zoning problem. Since then, I know of probably 4 or 5 people, I think one or two might be here, that had offered to buy the lots to build homes on it. But they said no, because of the zoning again, it's a commercial and you can't build homes. So it's just sat there until I found out about it this week, where you sent out a notice to 6 people that surrounded the property. Only 6 people in a neighborhood and a subdivision of several hundred. And I was a little upset about it, and I found out that all my neighbors were also, as you found out. I went on to the Neighborhood Watch app and put it on there, and over 29 people have responded on that app, very upset about this property. I think you probably have my my major concerns, but I'll read them once more. I think you might have all got them. Some of my major concerns about this facility being brought into our neighborhood are: 1, an increase in parking on the street; 2, more traffic on both of these roads, in which I know many of our children ride bikes, walk, or play on. It was one of our main concerns when we were trying to stop the construction of a truck stop about 2 years ago on the other end of our neighborhood on Orange Street in Makawa. Another concern besides traffic and parking is 3. For those living close to this facility, they will probably see a reduction in their realty values. I think it might also reduce other values on several other streets in the area because of this facility. Number 4, Pearland now has over 27 assisted facilities in this town. And I understand there's going to be a fairly large one built over on Pearland Parkway, over near Dixie, in the next year or 2.
Mr. Shaw, please wrap up your comments.
Okay.
We have a lot of people.
Okay, so
signed up to
anyway,
speak.
you have all my statements. As you know, I've talked to probably close to 50 to 100 people on this subdivision. A lot of them couldn't get through because of problems with an email and stuff like that, but we are very unhappy about this, and we hope you make the right decision. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Okay, state your name and address and try to limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Hi, I'm actually have my neighbor, Manuel Serrano. He wants to speak, but unfortunately we didn't have a translator. I got lucky. The manager from Jimmy Changa's, Jairo, is going to speak on his behalf.
¿Cómo te llamas?
His name is Manuel Serrano. ¿Tu dirección cuál? ¿Cuál es tu dirección? Okay, his address is 2313 Cedar Street. Okay. He wants to share with everybody that he's not happy about what's happening on his property. That what's the plan that happening about selling that area right there, because he's been living there for 16 years, and it's gonna disrupt everything that's happening. He's living, his family, the way of living. There's an area where his children, his grandchildren wait for the bus, and then he feels that building, I'm not sure what's happening, but he said that it's going to create more traffic, and he's not going to be able to get his children to school as he normally does it. His main concern is the traffic is going to create. Yes, no. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jairo. Council Chamber, good evening. My name is Michelle Cox. I am a former resident of 2309 Cedar Street. My current address is 5808 Little Grove, Pearland. And I wanted to speak to the council and the planning board in opposition of CUP 20-0021, a permit requested for 2 lots located at the Willowcrest subdivision at the corner of Cedar Street, Cherry Street, McCow Road, to build an assisted living facility consisting of a maximum of 16 beds on approximately half acre of land. The notification that was sent to the residents stated only the permit was to allow an assisted living facility. I contacted City Planning Department, who stated that there should have been a definition of an assisted living facility on the documentation based on my discussions with Planning Department. What I found, an assisted living facility is not a medical facility and is not required to provide medical nursing personnel on site. Also, they're not required to provide special access for emergency vehicles like a nursing home would have to provide. It is only a facility that takes in renters who are 55 and older and may or may not provide limited assistance to those renters. Thus, an apartment for rent disguised as an assisted living facility. The notification stated that the proposed building would be approximately 4,275 square feet and a housing up to 16 renters on 8 parking spaces. The lot in questions are bordered by McCow Road. Currently, the Texas Department of Transportation has a plan underway to significantly expand McCow Road, including the addition of a median and oversized sidewalks, 10 feet in width. These additions will more than double the size of the existing right-of-way from McCow Road. Based on TxDOT documentation in public meetings, there will be significant impacts to the surrounding residential lots. TxDOT has ongoing environmental studies related to flooding and noise abatement regarding the project, as well as the potential acquisition of properties adjacent to the right-of-way. It is unwise to allow this CUP and proceed with the related development until TxDOT completes these studies. The expansion will affect traffic patterns, ingress, egress to the neighborhoods, utilities, and the surrounding environment. It will also likely direct affect the size of the lots listed in the CUP and the space available to build large structures with up to 16 renters living in the facility. The size of the lot is crucial in order to provide adequate parking for residents and visitors. Then add a detention pond for flooding control as required by the City of Pearland for all new development projects, which I don't believe was discussed. Let's not forget that McCow Road, Cherry Street, and Cedar is known flooding area, with the city of Pearland working feverishly to abate the flooding issues that have gone on for over 20 years, currently as this meeting is ongoing. In addition, the Pearland ISD school bus drop-off designation is located at 2318 Cedar Street. This is directly across the street from the proposed location. Are you willing, City Council and members of the Planning Board, to take the risk of an individual backing up in a hurry or driving out of the driveway that is proposed, missing the brake pedal? The lots listed in the CUP have been designated
Please
for
wrap up your
neighborhood
comments.
service. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, but in question, each and everyone, do you in the city want a building rental for cash as hidden under the assisted living facility language? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else here live that wishes to speak for or against this item? Be sure to state your name and address and try to limit your comments to 3 minutes.
My name is Connie Perrard. I live at 2314 Cedar for 42 years. Raised 4 Pearland kids, and they've all been very happy here. I do not have any children living with me at the moment, but I do live there and see all the traffic that is still going left and right because they're bypassing McCowa, so they'll miss the lights on both ends. That has been going on forever. I also have to my left a house that has 4 cars in the driveway and 6 cars on the street. So when I go that way, I am constantly in a position to almost have a wreck with someone moving, going through, jutting in and out. I feel like our neighborhood and my street already has enough problems without having one at the right side. I look out at these 2 lots from my house. It is a very, very quiet neighborhood. We don't have any problems amongst any of our neighbors, but I do foresee several problems. One is sewer. I talked to Ruby Sanders. She was on one of these committees a long time ago. She said when they redid the waters, pipes, etc., enlarged them, they did not do that to the sewers over there. So we will have 16 more people living in a house, flushing their potties with an overloaded sewer system. Also, I did flood in 1979. It has been better, but the people in Mimosa right across from me, three houses over, are still flooding, and it comes off of our subdivision. I can't say anything more to you than please do not allow this assisted living in our neighborhood. There is none of the 27. There is not one in a subdivision. I found that out from someone who did research. I wish that you would change this to a residential area if that is possible and let 2 men that I know of that would like to build houses there, and we have more people that would like to live in our nice neighborhood. It's not a real wealthy neighborhood, but the people that live here have consistently provided good parking, good driving, good everything else. We just like each other. Anyway, I don't have anything else to say other than these 2 lots will have more concrete instead of grass, more flooding possibilities, and more heartaches for the rest of us living here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? State your name and address, please, before you speak.
My name is Albert Ball. I live on 5107 Halbert Drive. I'm actually up here for my mom that's on 2209 Cedar, the house that I grew up in as a kid. I want to thank you for at least hearing us out. I have really nothing more to add besides I can't reiterate how much more traffic you're going to add. You look at the picture that you got up there at the top where the driveway's at, that is basically between Mr. Shaw's house and the lady over here's house. So you'll have that little tiny box is going to be a dumpster. You'll have like a big old garbage truck backing up in and grabbing the dumpster right there all the time. Then that little tiny box is not listed as anything, but I'm assuming the little tiny square is going to be where the food support's at, because you're putting a grease trap in, at least to that drawing. It's got it shown right there. So if you're putting a grease trap, that means you're going to be making food. People got to eat, right? So that means you're going to have food services going on there. So there's going to be an 18-wheeler that's already not designated to go down that road, going back and forth that road. We constantly have the traffic congestion issue due to the cars, and there's still 18-wheelers that go back and forth that's dropping off beer over at Nick's Corner. And that always causes a problem because of how tight the road is. The flooding issue goes back even a little bit before 79 for that corner. And with the exception of Harvey, which was a very rare event, that corner was not flooded this go around, which is really weird. And that's something else to look at a later date. Lastly, on one of the slides provided by the Planning Commission, they showed that it was proposed to be changed to residential. I was talking to Mr. Mohammed over at the Planning Commission, and Mr. Shaw was correct in the aspect of there's people that's tried to buy that lot over time, but the city, due to it being listed as commercial, hasn't been able to do that to make a house being built. I would recommend a opposition to this and the city to plan on going forward and making it residential. Thank you.
Sir, what'd you say your mother's name was again?
Sandra Ball.
Thank you. Anyone else here live that wants to speak? Okay, I'll call the ones that I have on my list that aren't here live to see if you're online. Jeff Garcia.
Councilmember, there is not a Jeff Garcia on the speaker list online.
Okay, how about Dr. Pamela Kennard?
Yes, give me 1 second. Dr. Kennard, your microphone is unmuted.
Can y'all hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Pamela Kennard, Pamela Dilly. I've lived here. My parents bought the house where I live now, 2206 Willow Boulevard in 67. So I've lived here a long, long time. And yes, we do flood. The streets were designed to hold water, obviously, and that's what they have always done. And I feel with additional cement being placed in the areas where a lot of the water does drain, that will only assist in additional flooding. I do want to piggyback on what Mr. Shaw, Mr. Serrano, Ms. Cox, Perard, and Ball have said. Traffic is an issue in the neighborhood now, currently, with people bypassing and cutting through the neighborhood, missing the lights on McCowa. We have historically, the geography of the neighborhood is doing just what neighborhoods do. You see an older generation that is moving off, selling homes, and a newer generation moving in. Now we have what we had in the late 60s and 70s with families coming in, selecting to live in our neighborhood with children. We have children that ride bikes up and down the streets, play. Additional traffic is not good for this. And we do enjoy this, people walking their dogs, kids playing in the street and on the sidewalks. I do have a few questions. I'm curious as to what the business owner, if they have a history of their facilities in other neighborhoods. How have those been? To what extent are they in existence? Is this a new business? I'm looking at are there going to be any patients in this area for memory care? If so, what if some of these patients get out into the busy areas of McCowa and Cherry Street? And also, I feel that this, the proposed use of this facility is not compatible with the neighborhood. It's going to be a larger home that is not compatible with what we have as a single dwelling residential area. Parking, I believe, is going to be an issue again. I think the property values will decline. And I'm concerned with food deliveries, the dumpster being obvious out in front of the area. And what about emergency preparedness for the clients that live in this facility? We know that Macawa and Cherry flood. What if they need to get out and evacuate? There is nowhere to go. So that is should be of concern of the property owner. And
Okay, please wrap up your comments, ma'am. Okay.
I do oppose to this.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Next, I have Dawn Mead. Josh, do we have her online?
I'm sorry, repeat that name one more time, please.
Dawn Mead.
Yes, she is.
M-E-A-D-E.
Your microphone is unmuted.
I'm Dawn Mead. I live at 2407 Halbert Drive. So I don't actually live on Cedar Street, but I can tell you that this neighborhood, I bought my home in 1995. I'm a lifelong Pearlander who bought in this neighborhood for the nice big lot. This neighborhood in the last 25 years has really become, as many people have said, just a magnet for traffic. And that mainly is because they built the school down McLean. People travel north down McLean, cross 518 and come down Halbert Drive to Cherry, turn right to Macawa, turn left and miss the light. There are at least 500 cars every morning and every evening that pass down my street and go straight to Cherry to Macawa or backwards coming home. It creates a whole lot of traffic and a whole lot of danger for children, animals, wildlife, etc. that on this street. But worse than that, it's created, well, no, it isn't worse than that. That's a really bad thing. Looking at Cedar, Cedar is essentially a 2-lane street, but it's not really. It's a 1-lane street. When you're going down Cedar, one way or the other, if another car is coming your way, you literally have to move over more and allow them to pass. 2 cars can't even pass each other coming down Cedar Street. And looking at the plan for this facility, there is no room for all of this with an entrance on Cedar Street. If it were going to be put in, that entrance would need to be off of Macawa, and that would help with the traffic. But one of the things that's misleading looking at the map, and I would say page 29, Exhibit B, is all of this pink that is the area that one calls retail offices and services. It looks like a vast area, but when you really look at what they are, there's a bank on the east side of Macawa, bordering Broadway. Then there's a car wash with a very large green area. There's a new retention pond that's not keeping water, and there's the drainage district. These are not areas with a lot of commerce going on. So while it may look like there's a lot of commerce, there's not. There's not any commerce. This home is proposed to be put right in the middle of a residential area. And it reminds me of one of those tests we take when we're kids, and we try to pick out the thing that doesn't fit: the glove, the shoe, and the dog. And in this case, this facility is the dog. It's going to cause traffic. You're going to have employees. You're going to have doctors or nurses who come to help. You're going to have ambulances. You're going to have taking up of a lot that has been, quite frankly, a retention pond for a number of years. And I would object to it, and I think most everybody in the neighborhood objects to it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your comments. Next up is Jules Moore. I think that might have been the applicant. Is that correct?
Correct. I don't have a comment.
Okay, then next up is Ruby Sanders.
Sanders. I live at 2402 Francis Drive in Mimosa Acres, and the property being neighborhood centers, That means small office cleaners, retail, that help the neighborhood. I do not believe, and I'm in opposition of the assisted living because it does not help the neighborhood. The subdivision has been there since 1963, and the infrastructure is probably older and probably not able to handle 16-bed facilities with all the sewer and water demands. And then the applicant said there would be a laundry facility, so that's just that much more. The people in the area already experience sewer problems, as you've heard. The area is residential, and my concern with the children riding the bikes and playing in the areas would be a safety problem because there is so much traffic and so many people parking on the street. This property has been able to absorb some of the water during storms and heavy rains, and with it being largely concrete, there would be no absorption, and the area floods often, and I have flooded 3 times. The traffic has increased in this area tremendously. As Ms. Mead said, they cross 518 down Halbert, turn right on Cherry and go to Mackay for the traffic, to avoid traffic things. Our streets are not designed for that. And I think we'd have more traffic with workers and visitors to the area. And I was most concerned because the entrance to this facility is on Cedar Street, which I go down Cedar quite often to get to Orange Street to the light. And people parking on the side make it very difficult for more than one car at a time to go down the street. So I'm concerned also about the emergency vehicles. And I also want to point out, as someone else pointed out, that there's other living facilities in the Pearland area, probably approximately 27, I've been told. But we have one on Walnut, which is not many blocks from us, and one which is an adult daycare on McLean Road that's close to this proposed facility. I am opposed to this because this is residential, and if somebody wanted to get a residential permit, they should be allowed to try to get that so they could build houses. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sanders. Next up is Travis Rugo. Josh, is Mr. Rugo online?
I'm looking for that name now. Let me see. You said Travis Rugo?
Yes, Rougeau.
Give me just 1 second. I don't see that speaker on this list.
Okay, what about a Gene Hazen, Hazen?
Hazen?
Correct.
No, I do not see them. They're not here as well.
Okay, thank you. Mayor, that completes the public comments on this CUP application.
All right, we made it through the online public comments on that one. That was good. Thank you, Mr. Little, for wading through that. Thank you guys for also being patient with us as we moved through that. We're learning in process. So move on to B, which is our Planning Commission, Council, and Staff discussion. First up, Madam Chair, those folks on your Planning and Zoning Commission have questions and comments.
Thank you, Mayor Cole. Let's go to Commissioner Dansby. Do you have any questions or comments?
Just wanted to say I'm looking at this from 10,000 feet. Part of it is it's a commercial property. It's been a commercial property zone for many, many years. I'm worried about the detention drainage issue. Obviously, the residents near and around it are worried about the safety issue, which is also key, being the school is right down the road from there as well. I would have difficulty approving this, but what I would like to add is a little caveat that, if the property owner finds a buyer for it that would like some houses, built there, then I would like for us to make an attempt. I know there's a zoning change that needs to occur, and that's not impossible with the way this property is set up. I think we need to look into, if there's a way to help them, if this is not something that's able to be approved this evening at this time, either readdress with some answers to the drainage and safety at some point in the future, or allow or assist them in possibly looking at rezoning at some point in the future. I hate for a property just to sit derelict. Somebody's paying taxes on it, so we need to figure out a way to help them out. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Boswell?
Yes, I have several comments. I echo the sentiments of Commissioner Dansby. My issue is the zoning. It is commercial. While I understand the plights of the citizens, I also understand where the applicant is coming from. The property that's being proposed is probably going to present the least amount of traffic, and I understand that the citizens already have traffic issues. So I would be interested in what zoning looks like down the road, because that could, to what Commissioner Dansby said, fix some of these problems. If you have people that are wanting to purchase the property for residential use, then that would accommodate what the citizens in that area of the neighborhood are trying to see. So to me, it's the zoning. With that, I see where the applicant is trying to come in and make the facility look like that of an actual home. So I understand both sides, and I would lean more towards moving forward with the applicant because of how this land is zoned. So that's what I'd be interested in learning, future zoning, if that has even been considered for this property. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Earls?
Thank you. The safety seems to be a huge concern of the residents who live nearby, which is a concern of mine as we were looking at this. I really wish this was not a commercial property, but that's not the case. We have to deal with it as it is. I'd have a difficult time voting and approving this for the complaints or opposition we've seen with this, and for the safety factors as well. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Eisenberg?
I don't want to be redundant. I agree with everything the other three commissioners have said, and I couldn't add anything to it. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Henricks?
Yes, I definitely can understand where the current landowner is coming from. They bought this property assuming that they would be able to use it for some type of commercial use. And I do understand that there is probably this desire of people who are 55, 60, 70, who don't want to feel like they're being pushed off to a different type of business district. They want to feel like they're part of a neighborhood and around children. So I definitely get the appeal to want to bring a facility like this nearby. However, I understand that the driveway, I don't like the driveway being off Cedar Street. I think it would be best off McCowa if it were to be voted or approved. But if it's not going to be approved, then I think that the city really needs to turn these lots into residential so that the landowner the landowner that would end up owning this and paying taxes could do something useful with the property. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Fuertes?
Thank you. I hope you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Fantastic. This is one of those times that I'm glad I'm in the seat that I'm in and not in the council chambers making this decision, only commenting thereof. If I were to do a pros and cons, which is what I try to do for each of these cases, the pros, I would say that an assisted living itself is a pretty low impact user for a neighborhood. It's a friendly use, if you could put friendly in quotes. And I think that's the entire concept of neighborhood services. Some of the other uses that I pulled up from the matrix that are permitted by right, and I'd like to make sure we all understand this is a CUP, and it's to give us an extra look, a harder look under the microscope. This is not a request by right. If they chose one of these other uses, it would be a choice by right, or a right to put it in permitted use, let's say that. A medical clinic, a dental clinic, financial institution, and that's both with drive-through and without. So a bank, an office, veterinarian clinic, barber, ATM machine, bed and breakfast, dry cleaning, antique shop, cafeteria, convenience store, retail, jewelry store. So, when you consider the impact and the traffic of those under the current zoning, and I stress that, under that current zoning, some of these other uses to me are much greater impact. So that was the pros. Just from a, I sure could think of a lot worse uses if I were a neighbor of this proposed building. On the cons side, I'd have to say that I'm a little disappointed in the information provided, and I'm assuming that the information provided to the city staff shared that with us. I certainly would have liked to have seen a better proposed site plan, an elevation of the. If you're telling me that this building is going to match the neighborhood, I guess integrity or facade or what have you. We didn't get to see that. All I'm seeing is I saw a black and white rendition. Today I'm seeing a color with the green grass and the building color different and 8 parking spaces. I'm not seeing enough to make a really good assessment and decision for, in the positive. The future land use plan shows this as residential. The old drawings that were shown to us that was back from the 1960s showed this as commercial, but it also showed directly across Cedar Street as commercial, and they are now residential. So that movement towards residential to me makes sense, as has been stated over and over by multiple persons. I believe that's it, except for to say, I also concur that, I really wish the drive cut could have been on Cherry Street or McCowa. With McCowa being expanded, that would be pretty difficult, number one. And I believe, number two, Cherry Street itself would be difficult because you'd be coming in off of McCowa. I don't know that you have the spacing requirements for a driveway entrance. So my apologies for my long-winded comments. I'll try to keep it shorter next time. There's a lot of passion on this one. I thought we had great speakers from the public and from the P&Z thus far. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Fortes. I believe that most of my comments have already been mentioned. I know it was stated that it was 55 and older, and I guess my question, not to sound ageist, but is that definitely part of it? If something happens, can they come back and make it a residential home for like a halfway house or an apartment, or just rent to, I know Commissioner Fortes said bed and breakfast. So can they make it a 16-bed residential home of some other kind at some point later on, if this is approved? That's a question for, I guess, staff or
Ms. Cade, I'll note that down and I'll discuss that in the staff wrap up.
Okay, and then I also am worried about the safety. I read through the letters. I heard all the citizens speak, and I heard a lot about the bus stop. And that concerns me. And I know Macau is going to be widened, and there's not going to be much room with the parking for them to get out. It does concern me, the safety factor. I know that was mentioned, but it bears repeating. And that's really all I have to say. And the citizens' comments were great, and I appreciate them taking the time to be here. And when we have this many citizens, I do think it's worth listening to their pleas. So thank you. That's all.
All right, thank you to the members of the Planning and Zoning for your comments and questions as well. We'll move it to the City Council for your questions and comments, and I guess we'll start at this end of the table and work that way. How's that?
All right, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think we had a good number of people speak tonight and brought up some good issues on this, and I've spoke to several of them over the last few days on it. I don't think, that what we have here, what the facility going on is less than a half acre of land, and for 16 beds and other things that go along with the 16 beds, a place to wash clothes or whatever, I guess, a place to cook, and rooms in there for facilities to meet and to talk, and the staff's place. So I just think it's not a good location, number one, on there. And again, from all the indication that I've heard tonight, and it brought up a few other things of where the Cedar Street and the exit in and out of this facility, and right across the street is a bus stop for that. I don't see any problem at all if they wanted to come back and do this for residential, to be able to change it on residential. So listen to everything that I've heard tonight. I'll make it short and sweet. I don't think this is a good location to build this facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Just going to reiterate a couple of things that were made, points that were made by Commissioner Fuertes, just for the benefit of those who are coming out and speaking against it, primarily on matters that have to do with any kind of residential development or any kind of commercial development. The tract can be developed commercially. Mr. Fuentes listed out a number of permitted uses. I won't reiterate them, but because if we do not pass a zone change for this, that doesn't mean that there is nothing that will happen on this lot. I don't want y'all to come and think that for whatever reason, if we decide not to allow an assisted living facility, which is a conditional use, which requires our approval, that this lot will remain undeveloped indefinitely. So I would say that I'm not supportive of the zone change, but that doesn't necessarily mean that all of the things that y'all, supportive of the conditional use permit, but all of the things that y'all are saying, those problems still persist with the development of this tract. I would also kind of reiterate that I would agree that it's probably more appropriate for this to be a residential lot. I would be supportive of a zone change, but that has to be brought forth by the owner of the property. The city of Pearland does not and should not have the right to go to an individual lot and say, I just want this lot changed. We do that as a part of a comprehensive plan. We can do that massively throughout the city, but we can't pick and choose lots, nor should we. If we do that for this lot and without the owner's consent, we can do that for your lot without your consent. That's not a power that you want us to hold. I would reach out to the owner and ask them if they would want to propose a residential lot change. I think a gentleman said that somebody said that they couldn't be made into a park. That's not true. It can be made into a park. That's a permitted use, does not require council action. So if y'all want to, as a neighborhood, look at joining in and purchasing the lots and making it into a park, you can absolutely do that. I'll end my comments by saying, again, I'm not supportive of the zone change. I don't think it's an appropriate use. I do believe that it's best if this is a residential lot, but the owner needs to apply for that. And when and if they do apply, I'd be happy to support that zone change. That's all I have, Mayor.
I guess we'll continue with those that are here live, and then I'll go to the two council members that are virtual. So, Councilmember Hernandez.
Thank you, Mayor. So I think my biggest issue in looking at this was pretty much the flooding issues and trying to get those addressed before anything is added to this neighborhood in general. So I think overall, my assessment of this is probably a no this evening. I'd like to see the flooding stuff addressed before, the flooding issues rather addressed before anything is added here. But I did have a question. If for whatever reason, in the next few moments, my brain is convinced to go the other direction, this is a question for staff. Given the point that Member Owens brought forward about the density, would it be possible for us to add, or I guess some type of language to the CUP that if we approved this, that it would be limited to only a specific number of beds that would mimic the density of homes being built there? So if there were homes built there, I'm assuming there would be no more than 3, maybe 4 bedrooms maximum, which I think would probably equal 8 beds instead of 16, so it'd be 50% of their proposed capacity. Is that something that we could add?
Councilmember Hernandez, we can add things to this use or with the approval, but with those conditions and the fact that we have an applicant's representative here, I would suggest speaking or bringing that representative forward so that way we can find out if the project would still be feasible at that type of density.
I agree. Yeah. So that was going to be my next move, was to call the applicant forward. So Josh, can you get the applicant forward to answer that? If it would be okay, if we place that condition, if they could still realize a profit.
Martin, would you like me to unmute Craig or Jules?
I believe Craig would probably be the first person, and then he may ask that Jules gets unmuted as well.
Craig, your microphone is unmuted. Mr. Garcia, are you there? Mr. Garcia, can you hear us?
Josh, if you need to try to get them on.
We got him now.
Okay.
We got him now.
Okay, cool. So, the assisted living facilities are regulated by the state, and what we're proposing is a type 2, what's called a small type 2 facility, or type B facility. I'm sorry, and you're allowed up to the 16 beds. So the thought was this is kind of designed after the applicant's mom. So I think they're more in line with the 8 beds, and I think the condition of an 8-bed facility is okay with them. So we would be okay with that condition, and we're open to alternative entrances into the space. Ideally, if we can figure out how to get off Cherry Street, maybe that's a better entrance. Makawa, I think, may be kind of difficult just because of the infrastructure that's out there. But we're willing to work with the neighbors if they're willing to allow this. Again, if I were a neighbor, I would much prefer to have this type of commercial facility than some of the others the commissioner had presented, or councilman had presented.
All right, I appreciate that. So I obviously can't speak for the other members of council, so I'll let the other members give their input. However, I would like to ask the applicant then, if council moves in a direction to where we might put forward this condition, if you would like to gamble, I guess, with a yes or no vote tonight, or if you would like to come back with a revision to this potentially in the future. So I would personally be okay with capping it at the 8 beds and moving forward. But as of right now, I'm a no, but I'll let the rest of council weigh in on this. Thank you, Mayor.
I reiterate what Councilman Owens, Councilman Perez said, and Commissioner Fuentes. You could end up with something worse than a assisted living facility, which is a low impact type business on the surrounding area. Having said that, I was elected to represent the citizens of Pearland, and the citizens have overwhelmingly spoken out against this. And so because of that, I'll be a no.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, I mean, we've heard loud and clear the citizens don't want it. Could something else permitted by right NS go there? Yes. It doesn't work. I mean, the market tells us that. It's been vacant for how long? So, I mean, at some point, I think the landowner, if they want to sell it, it goes to residential. But I don't think anybody that would look to develop this as commercial would I don't think the numbers work. So yeah, it's a threat. But I don't see that coming to fruition. So I'll be a no vote tonight.
All right, and we'll move to the two council members online. First, Councilmember Cam Carr.
All right, team, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. Madam Chair, can we briefly get the tally on how many negative comments were on your P&Z team? I kind of lost count a little bit. How many negative were there? Do you recall?
I think it would probably be 6-1, maybe.
Okay, I just want to make sure I got that.
Took a vote.
Got it. Okay. Second, do we know how long this tract has been owned by the current owner? Is this the same recipient or owner who's been there for 50 years, or is this recently acquired in that this matter is being brought up to us?
Councilman Kempar, let me look that up, and I will have that answer in just a few minutes.
Okay, I will, please come back to that when you're ready, Mr. Griggs. Third, I am not unsympathetic to the discussions on traffic. I have 3 children under the age of 3, and I live in a residential street. And to be honest, I get scared, and I don't have near the car traffic. So for the citizens out there, I'm not unsympathetic to that argument. I decided to do some sleuthing, and if you go onto the text.database, you can go and look up the car counts. There's 4 different meters on the traffic count database within a very close proximity. At Brookside at the north, meter 20HP9, there's 3,600 car counts going up and down about half a mile to the north. At the intersection of Woody and Broadway at meter 20HP10, there's 1,800, almost 1,900 car counts. At Walnut and Broadway, a little bit to the east, we have 30,862. And at Broadway and Sacramento to the east, we have 25,000 car counts. If those people are diverting, which it sounds like they are, and I probably would too, to avoid that light, that puts a substantial stress in this residential area. The question I would have to even vote in any kind of affirmative is to have a traffic impact analysis at that corner. To determine how many car counts are driving off of certain roads. That would probably be a condition that I would probably have to have satisfied for me. And then the fourth on drainage, as I look at this map here on the screen, where is the offsite sheet flow for this track going? Does anybody on staff know where that's going?
Councilmember Pankar, I don't know that off the top of my head. Let me see who is on with engineering. Parviz or Raj, if y'all could, either one of you chime in on it.
Good evening. This is Parviz with the engineering department. If I recollected correctly, the sheet flow goes ultimately to Macava. There is a drainage ditch along Macava, and the sheet flow goes there. I think we have Raj here if he wants to correct me.
Yes, good evening, Councilman. This Cherry has a storm sewer system on the north side of the street, and it right now it flows towards Cedar Street and then gets to the Cherry system, and recently BDD for installed 2 big boxes. I think like 4x10 boxes, 4x10 boxes along Makawa Road. So everything goes to Cedar and Cherry, then Makawa Street. And to add to this one, we have a drainage project in this neighborhood, in which we will upsize all those storm sewer system along Cherry Street. Though that is in pipeline and it is under design, 60% design
And
right now.
the improvements along Makawa are going to be happening. Are you telling me that the improvements are going to have them drain to the southeast corner of this diagram, more or less?
It would probably go to Cedar Street because we have improvement along Cedar Street too, because these all lots are A-graded, so it normally drains towards the front to the street, then goes to the main system.
Understood. I think I would like to have a more comprehensive understanding. I've come from a field where I believe we can engineer to keep communities safe, but there is going to be a lot of flow off Makawa. There's going to be a lot of traffic off Makawa, and I would like a more comprehensive understanding. That being said, it is not my place to tell owners what to do with their land if they want to turn it into a park or into residential. But these items around traffic and drainage really ring to me, and we're elected to look out for the public interest. The reality of the situation is everything that's been previously said is correct. Another use we would not be having this discussion, and I'm very aware of that. But the reality of the situation is I'm not interested in putting more car counts in an area where there's small children consistently going to be around. And with the amount of improvements going around here, we will only be putting more vehicular car counts around here. So those are my thoughts right now. I would like to also comment, as was made earlier, the lack of renderings, the lack of any imagery really makes me feel like there's not a preparedness point here. And it's really hard for me to take public criticism when I can't even tell you what it looks like. And those are my comments.
Thank you, Councilmember. We'll move on to Councilmember Orlando.
Being the 15th or 16th person, I'm not going to belabor this. We have all these discussions about, what we want to do here, but essentially just to make this really clear, tomorrow it could be decided that a hospice care facility was going to go there, and there would be no public meeting like this. There would be no notification sent out. The hospice care facility would just go up. The convenience store would just go up. The pet shop would just go up. The child day nursery or tanning shop or printing shop would just go up. So with everything in mind here, I'm going to be against this, but let's not we can pat ourselves on the back, but ultimately something can happen tomorrow that really the only permanent solution is getting this moved towards a residential zoning in the manner that Member Perez suggested. So let's try to effectuate that and move on to our next item. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. And before we move on to staff wrap up real quick, I do have a couple of questions. The two lots that are in question, I get and understand as to neighborhood services. And if you actually look at a map from 50 plus years ago, you'll see that this corner was zoned commercial, ultimately became neighborhood services. But also the other end of Cherry Street was zoned commercial and is a current convenience store and has been a convenience store for many, many years. If you go to the northwest corner of this subdivision, you have the same thing. The corner is zoned neighborhood services. And so ultimately, while the zoning aerial map has it one thing, the future land use plan calls for something different. And I think what you're hearing, and for the applicant that's online tonight, the word back to the owners are, I think there's a very open dialogue to having this zoned residential, being able to be sold, put a couple of homes up. But in addition to that, the home exactly directly next door, so I think that would be 2313 Cedar, according to our plans and our maps here, is zoned neighborhood services because it's colored in pink. And so I have a concern about that, because if that home is unprotected from a rebuild if something was to happen because of permitting. It's a single family residential. If it was to burn or come down or lightning strike or something of that nature, they're going to have a problem doing that. So I'm not sure from our staff standpoint if they're even aware that it's zoned neighborhood services as the owner, but that's going to be an issue moving forward. So with that, I guess, Martin, are we coming back to you for staff wrap up? Because did I see Mohammed step off the line?
Mayor Cole, I have not seen if Mohammed stepped out. I see him still in the participants list.
Okay.
But to answer your question, yes, I typically handle the staff wrap up. So I wrote down a few questions, comments, concerns, and I'll go in reverse order from what I heard them. Starting with Councilmember Kamkar, you had a question about the ownership of the properties. It appears that there was a transfer from a Nolan Alma Emojine estate in 2012. So it's been roughly 7 or 8 years since the new owner, Cynthia Bodine, took ownership of these parcels, being the 2315 and 2317 parcels. I believe Mayor Cole and Ms. Cade kind of asked similar questions in vein on the change of use. If the project were built as shown on the screen, and if it were to be changed of use to something else, the big limiting factor keeping it in line with something that is assisted living would be the amount of parking. Assisted living for our minimum parking standards, which is 1 space per 2 person of design. So if this is a 16-person facility, then it's narrowed down to 8 minimum parking spaces. The limiting factor there really is the amount of parking spaces that are provided. So that would keep things like a bed and breakfast or other uses which are based off of square footage of the building from being able to move in there without substantial changes to the site plan. Third thing I want to touch on is the potential rezoning for the property. As Mayor Cole stated, with the property next door being still in the neighborhood services district, if that piece of property were to try and redevelop into a commercial entity, they would then have neighborhood buffering or residential buffering that's required to the north property line, or if this as a single rezone change for just these 2 lots were done, then they would be bookended on either side and be left with a very small narrow gap between those 2 25 or 30 foot residential buffers to be able to develop on. So there would be more public notification that would be required in order to get variances from that standard within our Unified Development Code. With that said, I believe I touched on most of the things that were brought up for further staff discussion. And I appreciate y'all's thoughts, comments, and concerns on this case.
All right, we'll move forward to City Council new business on this item. Councilmember Carbone, would you place this on the table?
Thank you, Mayor. Consideration possible action resolution R 2020-CUP 20-00021. So moved.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second on the table. Obviously, everybody's had a chance to comment and ask questions. I'll just throw it open one last time. Are there any other comments or questions on the CUP 20-00021?
Mayor, I just wanted to say thank you to the residents who did come to speak tonight. Thank you for being here.
Good deal. Hearing no further comment or questions, Madam Secretary, would you please call for the vote?
Member Carbone?
No.
Member Kamkar?
Nay.
Please repeat that.
Nay. No.
Member Hernandez?
No.
Member Little?
No.
Member Perez?
No.
Member Owens?
No.
Member Orlando?
No.
The motion fails 7-0.
All right, moving on to joint special meeting number 2. Councilmember Hernandez, would you read that caption in?
Yes, sir. Mayor, request by Hamza Khan, applicant on behalf of DD 518 Partners Ltd, owner, for approval of a conditional use permit for cigars, tobacco, or e-cigarette shop retail only within the general business district to accommodate a retail vape shop within a 1,500 square foot lease space on approximately 3.8192 acre lot. Let's see, legal description. Do I have to read that, Darren? Are we good? Okay, general location 5402 Broadway Street, suite number 106.
All right, so we have put that on the table. We'll move towards the application information and case summary and staff report. So Martin, are you giving it?
No, sir. I will introduce Mohammed back again to speak this report. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Mayor. This request is for approval of a conditional use permit for cigars, tobacco, and e-cigarette shop for retail only within the general business district to accommodate a retail vape shop within a 1,500 square foot lease space, approximately 3.8192 acre lot. The applicant proposes to operate a 1,500 square foot retail vape shop within this existing retail center located at the southwest corner of Broadway Street and Corrigan Drive. The proposed use is defined by the UDC as a shop that specializes in the sale of cigars or other tobacco products, including e-cigarettes and vaping lounges. Staff has not received any correspondence from the public regarding this request. Next slide, Martin. Subject property is currently zoned general business. As I mentioned, cigars, tobacco, and e-cigarette shop requires approval of a conditional use permit to locate within the general commercial business district. The subject property is currently developed as a 23,680 square foot multi-tenant shopping center, which was built in 2006. It's currently abutted by general business district on the north side, which is used as a public school. It's St. James Middle School. On the south side by single-family residential homes, and it is zoned R2. On the east side by a convenience store with gas and a portion of undeveloped property, and that is also zoned neighborhood service, as well as general business. And on the west side by a restaurant, and it is zoned general business. Next slide. This is the future land use map, and the property is designated as retail offices and services, which is intended to accommodate a variety of office and retail development. The proposed vape shop is compatible with this designation. Next slide should be a site plan that shows an existing shopping center with the space that will be used for this business, kind of highlighted there. And the next slide. This is a map showing location of similar uses, similar vape shops. And you can see there are 3 yellow dots. These are all within the 200 radius, and there's another one that's approximately over within the 2 mile radius with the red and blue dot. So there are approximately about 4 businesses within this 2 mile radius. Next slide. This is a front view of that shopping center taken from across the street from Broadway. Next slide. This is the conformity metrics, and the proposed use is consistent with the future land use designation as a thoroughfare plan and availability or access to utilities. Next slide. This is the approval criteria for conditional use permit, and this use passed the test for that with all these criteria met. Next slide. I'll keep it short. This, with the use consistent with this approval criteria, staff recommends approval of the CUP. That concludes the staff report, and I'll turn it back to you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mohammed. We'll move towards, is the applicant either present or online for staff, or excuse me, for an applicant presentation?
Martin, what is the name of the applicant?
Josh, the applicant's name is
Khan, last name Khan.
Hazmi
Hamza
Khan.
Khan? Yes,
Hazmi
he's
Khan.
right here. I will unmute him. Hamza, you are unmuted.
Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes, Mr. Khan. Yeah, go ahead and give us your applicant presentation. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Just want to thank you guys, the council, the planning committee, everyone, the mayor. So I am trying to get a CUP for a smoke and vape shop. But for this smoke and vape shop, we are strict on it with the age of being 21 or older just to come in. And so we are staying away from cigarettes, cigars, and such tobacco products. Our main thing is to have vapes, vape juice, and disposables. So we are staying away from the worst things. Like I said, we are going to be strict on the legal age of smoking, which is 21. We are going to have a big sign so no one can enter or purchase anything. We are staying away from tobacco use and such things as that. We are only staying with vapes, vape juice, like I said earlier, and there is a gas station right close to us, less than half a mile away, and they do have disposables as well as alcohol and such things, which we are not going to have. So we are going to be really strict on it, on who comes in and what they purchase as well. We are staying away from many different things. Tobacco does have many different, chemicals and such things as that. So we are staying away from that. So we are trying to have a healthier way for people to smoke without having tobacco and such things like that. And the disposables and vapes do have salt nic, which is salt nicotine, which is, I guess you can say, a healthier way than regular nicotine. And there is a school across the street. I know that is a big concern, but like I said, that is across the street, and we are going to be very strict on age, and no one under age of 21 can come in, and we are going to be IDing every single person that looks under 35 years old. And there's a CBD shop next to us, as well as a vape shop across the street, which is closer to the school than we are. And like I said, there is going to be a lot of restrictions for us and for the people of Pearland. And I hope this can get us the CUP permit. And if you have any questions, you can please ask me. Any concerns, I'm very open to them. And that is it.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Khan. We'll move forward in, so item number 3, persons wishing to speak for or against the proposed request. I believe there's a few people that had signed up to speak. So Mayor Pro Tem Little, do you have those?
Mayor, there's no one signed up to speak for this, but I'll go ahead and put it out there. Is there anyone wishing to speak for or against this CUP proposal? Please state your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Jimmy Davis, 5004 Combsmill Street, Pearland. I live in South Corrigan. This is the front of my neighborhood. As the applicant pointed out, there's another vape shop near there. As the map has shown, we have 4 vape shops already within 2 miles. 3 of them within a mile. Really? When are we going to say enough is enough? when there's one on, every other corner? Is that going to be okay? This is the front of my neighborhood. Just not really a fan of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else, either live or online, that wishes to speak for or against this CUP proposal? That's it, Mayor.
All right, moving forward in our agenda, we'll turn to item B, which is the Planning Commission, Council, and Staff discussion. So we'll open it up to the Planning and Zoning Commission. Madam Chair, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Cole. Commissioner Hendricks, do you have any questions or comments? Thank you. Commissioner Fortes?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm a little bit confused, or not confused, but I think we have enough in the area. I understand that we have one right across the street. On the other hand, I do like for businesses to come into Pearland. We are not good economic times, and I'm sure the landlord would like to fill his vacancy. But I just don't know if this is the right one. I did ask my son who vapes. Maybe he doesn't know that I know that, but I asked him his opinion. He's 21 years old, and he said, right across the street from the school, I just don't like it. So for what it's worth, from a 21-year-old Pearland resident, there you have it. But I'm interested in hearing everyone else's responses. I'm a little bit torn on this one as well.
Thank you. Commissioner Boswell?
No comments.
Commissioner Earls?
Thank you, Madam Chair. No, I don't have any comments on this one. No comments. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Dansby?
Well, I would just say it being across the street from the school, I know there's one there already. There's a reason we have CUPs like this for discussion of something that was specifically put in this category. I feel like this was vape shops and the like were put there for a reason for these kind of discussions. And I feel like the citizens would agree that we have discussions about this. Unfortunately, I feel like this one just doesn't have the feel that I would like across the street from if it was my son's school. So I understand the restrictions on age and the signage and all those things that they're trying to put in place to make sure there's limited access to those that aren't supposed to have access. But we're all fully aware that there are children and kids younger than 21 getting access to this. And I don't feel like it's necessary to allow that to be available any more than it has to be. So if I was able to vote or was going to vote, I would be voting against this. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Eisenberg?
We just said everything I was going to say, so I'm not going to waste any more time.
Commissioner Boswell, did I skip you?
You didn't skip me. I said no comment.
Okay. Commissioner Earls?
Skip me.
I don't know.
Location. So.
Okay. All right. Got it. Commissioner Dansby did a good job covering it. I also, we've got a Broadway corridor development plan, I believe, and having a vape shop right across from each other on our, the main street right there and right by a school, just it's not a good look for our city. It's just not, it's just a bad idea all the way around, I would think, as far as being right by a school and then two right next to each other. I would be against it if I was able to vote. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to the members of the Planning and Zoning Commission for that. We'll move to the City Council, and I'm going to start with the two guys that are online, and Councilmember Orlando first.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. I've said this a couple times before. You know, I don't want the government to be in the business of saying this is the number of businesses that we have of any type and centrally planning. I do think it is the place of people to say this is the kind of community I want to live in. And, you know, that our state and federal leaders should let communities be the type of communities they want to be. And this was a huge issue that came up when I was running for city council, and since then, that this is something that a lot of people feel very strongly about in this community, that they don't think it is a positive addition. And I think people have the right to say that within certain bounds. And for that reason, I'm going to be opposed to this development.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Cam Carr.
Can the staff remind me, is there a CBD shop in the same shopping center?
Councilmember Kim Carr, the applicant stated that there was a CBD shop there.
Okay, in that same line, literally in the same vicinity.
Correct. What I was going to say was that the CBD shop is listed under a general retail use.
Okay. The reality is I do echo Councilmember Orlando's comments. I'm not here to pick winners and losers. There's a CBD shop literally in the same vicinity, in the same shopping center, and it is not really, I don't want to have a CBD shop next to a school, but a prior council already made that decision. And I'm not here to be exclusionary. I would ask, can we make as part of this CUP that they're going to have 21 up and only signage there? If that's not part of that CUP, I would probably ask that be amended. But as far as I'm concerned, if there's a CBD shop next door and there's a vape shop, they might as well be the same thing. So I'm not opposed.
Thank you, Councilmember. We'll move to those that are here. Councilmember Carbone.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, there's a reason these are CUPs. I think the location right across from the school is not the location for this. And as staff's working on the next round of UDC changes, I guess we need to have a discussion at some point as to CBD, and do we want that to be a conditional use, or we find with that being defined as retail? Not a discussion for tonight, but I think on the next UDC amendment that's begs the discussion.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of these establishments, but I'm not going to be the moral police either. I believe in a free market. There could be 50 of them within a couple of miles, and the market's going to control, just like it did the liquor store on Broadway that opened up right across the street from each other. It's now out of business. If business owner is willing to put up his capital and take the risk, I think he knows more about the business and whether it would be successful than we do. As far as it being close to a school, it's pretty far away from the actual school building. The playground is closer to it. It's, a 4-lane divided highway, soon to be a 6-lane divided highway. So that's not a real big concern of mine. And there's been very little opposition to this location. So I don't have a problem with it.
Okay. Councilmember Hernandez.
Thank you, Mayor. So in reading the applicant's letter to us, I think that there seemed to be this recurring theme in the letter saying that it's healthier than smoking, things like that. And I just think from that perspective, saying that something is a healthy alternative, healthy does not necessarily equate healthy, or healthier doesn't equate healthy. And so, I'm really not in favor of continuing to add these, though I would normally, I think, be in favor of something like this, except that in the past, and I hate to have this applicant bear the burden of the previous applicants that have come before us, but there's also something in the applicant's documents here that talk about vaping and smoking equipment, and where I had previously inquired about the sale of paraphernalia in these types of establishments, I was told and assured that paraphernalia would not be sold in a previous application that came before us, and lo and behold, it is indeed present. So I do not prefer to go down that road again, and so for that reason, primarily, I'm going to be a no tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Perez?
Thank you, Mayor. So I think keeping with the theme, as I reviewed this, I want to hold it at the same standard we hold liquor stores, both in state law and locally. Reviewing that, going back and forth, kind of seeing what the difference would be between the distance of this to a school. It does look like it would be, if this was a liquor store application, the state would not allow this use. I abhor hypocrisy. So if we as a state and a city believe that venues such as this, which cater to an adult client, are inappropriate to be within that proximity to school. If it's a liquor store, we should hold all those type of uses to the same standard. So that for those reasons, I'll be opposed to it. I would also like to request that in the next UDC amendment, if that's a standard which seems to be uniform throughout this council, then we need to add that to the UDC so we don't waste anybody's time. If we don't want it to be there because of its proximity to school, let's not advertise as if we're okay with it, since clearly it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. So I would say let's add that vape shops would not be allowed within proximity to the school in mimicking the state law, which I believe is 300 feet from property line to property line. I would also entertain that same provision to be added to a CBD school or a shop. I would not object to it being a conditional use permit. I think people would generally believe or generally opine that they don't want to live next to those type of establishments near their residential subdivision. And I think that we should hold it to that same standard. So either we add it to CUP or we add it to the UDC. Again, just trying to be fair to the applicants. We hate for them to be able. I don't like them coming up for something that's a very obvious failure, for something that's not published as a rationale. So I'll be a no. Thank you.
Equal criteria. Councilmember Owens?
Yeah, there is a vape shop right across the street, right by the dentist office over there. It's already there. And, and if you change the classification on this, it's for cigars, tobacco, and e-cigarette shop on there. And that's not to say, I think I read in here, they weren't going to use anything for as nicotine or what have you, but if they sold it or somebody else took it, they could do it, without any problem of going with the tobacco. I would suspect that the convenience store and the gas station there, if you go in there, you can buy an e-cigarette. I don't know of one in Pearland that you can't buy one in there. So, but, most of these, I used to do the vaping and all of that. And one thing, when you go in there and buy the juice to go in the thing, I mean, they ask you what kind of, how much do you need for the nicotine in there? So it's different degrees and different amounts of nicotine, but I quit that several years ago. But anyway, it's, that in that area and going into that area, we see the school there, but we do see in the afternoon and in the morning, the crossing coming out of the residential area into where the school is at on the street, and in the afternoon coming across on the other side. I've, witnessed that numerous times through there. I just don't, within I feel the same way on other things that are products that are sold. About how many can you stand? I think the thing about it is that there's better use for that, in that area there. I think of that part of it. I just hate to see, the number of vape shops come in along with others that other things that's happening in here. I just think, Pearland's a little bit better than that of what they do. I don't know about it being across from school. I don't know, that since you already have one over there, but yet and still, just point blank, I'm against it. So Appreciate it.
All right, that's all. The council will move to the staff wrap up.
Thank you, Mayor Cole. The only thing that I took note of that maybe in addition to the resolution that council is fixing to take action on has no conditions on it. So if there was consensus amongst the council to add a condition, of course, that would be up to the council members to propose. And one of the conditions that I heard being discussed was the 21 and over signage. So just that's the only thing that I would like to bring up for the staff wrap up. Thank you.
All right, thank you. We'll move to item C, City Council new business. Councilmember Hernandez, would you place this on the table?
Yes, Mayor. Thank you. Consideration possible action resolution R2020-COP20-00023. So moved.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And we've already had our staff report. With that, one last opportunity is, and I'd heard a couple of possible conditions. Do we want to place those on the table, or I'll wait to hear any other comments or questions? See none moving that direction. Madam Secretary, would you call for the vote?
Mayor, first of all, I did not capture the second.
Oh.
Second.
Thank you very much. Member Hernandez?
No.
Member Little?
Aye.
Member Perez?
Aye. I'm sorry, no.
Member Owens?
No.
Member Orlando?
No.
Member Carbone?
No.
Member Camcar?
Aye.
The motion fails 2-5.
All right, we'll move on to our joint special meeting number 3. So, Councilmember Perez, would you place that on not place it on the table, but read the caption in?
Sure, Mayor. Request by, hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, Bejoy Joseph, applicant on behalf of Silver Lake Village Limited Partnership, owner and for approval of conditional use permit for a liquor package store within the GB district to accommodate a liquor retail store within 11,190 square feet. Lease space within the existing shopping center is approximately 1.2457 acre lots, to wit.
There we go.
So placed.
All right, we'll move to the application information case summary and our staff report.
Thank you, Mayor Cole.
Thank you very much.
Florence. Go for it, Florence.
Mr. Joseph, you can go ahead and begin speaking if you're online.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mayor, members of the City Council and the Planning and Zoning Commission. My name is Florence Boaku. I'm a planner with the Community Development Department. This request is for a conditional use permit for a liquor / package store within the general business district. And a liquor store is defined in the UDC as an establishment principally for the retail sales of alcoholic beverages to the general public for off-premise consumption. That requires a package store permit from the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission. And the proposed liquor store will be located in a lease space in 8321 Broadway Street. This is in a larger shopping center. The future land uses retail, offices, and services. And we did send out notices to property owners within 200 feet of the proposed liquor store. We did get one written comment, and this was from someone associated with the owner of the property. And so moving on, the property is zoned general business, and a liquor store within the general business district requires an approved conditional use permit. And just to give you an idea of the larger context, to the north of this shopping center is the City of Pearland Municipal Building, which houses the courts and the police and fire departments. And then around the shopping center is a mix of commercial and retail uses. And then the future land use is retail offices and services. And so the future land use supports the proposed liquor/package store development. And so within the larger context, there are 2 liquor stores within a 1 and 2 mile radius of the proposed liquor store. All other stores within the city within a 5 mile radius. And we have about 6 of them within that 5 mile radius. And so zooming in, as I said earlier, the proposed liquor store is going to be located in a 1,190 square foot lease space within a larger shopping center. The shopping center houses a mix of restaurants and urgent care. And then there's also Kroger, which is a large grocery store, which sells some alcoholic beverages. So staff have reviewed this to see if it conforms with the comprehensive plan and thorough plans within the city, and it does conform with the comprehensive plan and the thoroughfare plan, and there's also utilities available to the proposed liquor store. And staff has also reviewed this to see if it conforms to the conditions in the Unified Development Code of Conditional Use Permits, and it conforms to, it meets the criteria on all levels. And so based on that, staff is recommending approval of the conditional use permit. Thank you, and that ends staff report.
All right, thank you for the staff report. We'll move to the applicant presentation. Is the applicant present? Oh, is that Mr. Joseph? All right. If you could go to the podium in the back, that would be great.
My name is Joseph. Thank you, Mayor and the City Council members, for allowing us to make this presentation. We are proposing a small or a medium-sized 1,200 square foot liquor store in the Kroger market, which the Kroger also sells beer and wine at this moment. This is like a small one, which gives a unique experience, not like the big liquor stores. And like all other regulated stores, we will have entry control for less than 21 years, and we will be following all the TABC rules and Texas Alcoholic and Beverage Commission rules for the entry to the store. This is one of the 4th store we have proposed in the nearby cities. We own one in Houston. The new ones are starting in Sugar Land, Missouri City. This one is one of the niche stores we are proposing to be approved by the city. I mean, I don't need to say much about a liquor store in this. Thank you.
Does that complete your applicant presentation at this time? Okay. All right, thank you. We'll move towards persons wishing to speak for or against the proposed request. I think we had a couple of people had signed up to speak.
Yes, Mayor. Is James Thomas present or online? State your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Good evening, everybody. My name is James Thomas. My address is, physical address is 13608 Violet Bay Court, Pearland. I would like to support them because, we normally go to the Kroger in a week 2 or 3 times. So I think it will be more helpful to the shopping. If we are going to the Kroger, we can go to the store and shopping also because, Broadway is too much traffic also. Number 2, the COVID and everything is going on right now. A lot of businesses right now is shutting down. So I think if somebody is coming to start a business, I think we need to support them to help them also. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Saibu Tom? Are you okay? You're in support of it? Would you like to speak, sir? Go to the podium. State your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Sibu Tom. My 13608 Violet Bay. Actually, I would like to support to start this business. Actually, we are also going convenient to buy this location. That's why. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else either here at the council meeting or online that wishes to speak for or against this CUP application? I think that's it, Mayor.
All right, moving forward in our agenda, moving to the Planning and Zoning Council and staff discussion. Madam Chair will put it to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Eisenberg, do you have questions or comments?
No comment.
Commissioner Fortes?
I'll keep them very short. I do like that it's in a very business like or general business environment. It's surrounded by general business besides the public building of the city of Pearland, and I didn't hear anybody objecting to that. But it's a good location for this use. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Henricks?
Yes, I would like to agree that it is in a great location. It's similar to the liquor store that's right next to HEB, and I am for whatever would support businesses in our community. I think this would be anything we can do to help business owners, especially during these times, would be beneficial.
Thank you. Commissioner Dansby?
Just brief, I would agree, location is appropriate, zoned appropriately, no issues with any schools or anything being too close or even in the area, probably the safest liquor store in town. I would vote for it.
Thank you. Commissioner Boswell?
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Earls?
No opposition for me. If I could vote, I'd vote for it. Thank you.
Thank you. I have to echo Commissioner Dansby. It's actually a great location. If I could vote for it, I would. I would vote for it. So that's all for us. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you to the members of the Planning and Zoning. We'll throw it to the City Council for any questions or comments. And we'll start with Councilmember Owens.
Okay. I don't know how many we got within a 5-mile radius on there, but I imagine it's quite a few within that. But, I'm not a big fan of this since we started this a few years ago. And the way it's happened, everybody started opening up these shops and selling liquor, and it was stated that this is like a gold mine, a gold rush. Pete's down here, I don't think it's a gold rush for Pete's. The doors are closed and the lights are off down there. But I think, when you start looking at them, we've got one on Pearland Parkway over there, which is right there in the HEB area. And when they bring in the Bob truck to unload it, back up to that, you have to find another route to come through there because you can't get through as long as they're unloading or their liquor there at the store. But and I think people need to look at it. I guess I don't know how much you have to sell in order to have a successful business, but you can't compete with Costco, Specs, or Total Wine on the prices. That's HEB told me to go over there and look at that, and just for a bottle of of that, it's about $2 or $3 higher at a bottle than what you can drive a half a mile down the road and get it. But given where it's at, I guess it's a good place. I don't know, but I won't vote for it to do it. I think again. How many do we have to have inside the city? I look at this map here, and it's all over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 within a period of a few miles of that. So, how many liquor stores do we need in a town of? And that doesn't count all of them in a city with 130 something thousand people, and that doesn't count the ones that's out on the Beltway out there that sell liquor too. And is listed by Pearland Liquor Store off of Cullen over there to do that. And Summit's right there on the Beltway. So, we get probably as many liquor stores or per capita of people that we really need on there. So, but having said that, my vote will be no on this. Thank you.
Councilmember Perez?
Thank you, Mayor. As I've stated before in previous applications, there's nobody who objects to this, and it's not within the proximity of a school that would cause a prohibit. It's not us to determine the market. So I don't know how many liquor stores we need. Probably don't need any, but citizens sure do want them. So why they voted for it. If this is not a successful location because there's too many already in town, theoretically, the market will. We don't have to predict it. The market will make that determination for us. So. For those reasons, I am in favor of the conditional use permit.
All right, Councilmember Hernandez.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no opposition to this whatsoever. Thank you.
All right. Little.
I think it's a great location. You go do your grocery shopping, pick up your dry cleaning, take the kids to McDonald's, and get some booze. I have no problem with it.
Mr. Carbone?
I have no issue with this location.
All right, we'll go to the two guys online. Mr. Camcar?
I applaud these gentlemen for investing during the COVID times. It's probably hard to pull money out of your pocket. They picked a good location. And frankly, when hurricane season rolls around, I go get plenty of booze. So I wish them the best of luck.
Mr. Orlando?
No issues, Mayor. Thank you.
No other comment?
No issues with this development. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And so with that, we'll move forward in the agenda. Councilmember Perez, would you place item C under new business on the table?
Surely, Mayor. Consideration of possible action resolution number R2020-CUP20-000025. So moved.
Second.
I just blew through staff wrap up because I already had it circled. But so with that, staff, do you have any final comments or wrap up?
Nothing additional, Mayor.
All right. Any other comments or questions? I see nobody move in that direction. So, Madam Secretary, would you call for the vote?
Member Perez?
Aye.
Member Owens?
No.
Member Orlando?
Aye.
Is that a aye?
Aye, yes.
Member Carbone?
Aye.
Member Camcar?
Aye.
Member Hernandez?
Aye.
Member Little?
Aye.
The motion carries 6-1 to adopt resolution number R2020-CUP 20-00025.
All right, and with that, I'm going to adjourn this special joint meeting between the City Council and the Planning and Zoning Commission. We will start our City Council meeting here just briefly. I do know from a house cleaning standpoint, we've got IT has to takes them about 30 seconds to a minute to get everything switched out. So with that, at 8:43 p.m., we'll adjourn.
Thank you all.